Before you hear this, ask yourself one thing. If the meanest animal on the ranch stood between a lost child and the dark, would you still call him a monster? Keep that question in your mind because by the end your answer might change. They said the bull had fire in his eyes, but that morning the sky over the Texas auction yard looked colder than steel. Men kept their distance. Boots scuffed dirt. The big black bull paced behind railings that rattled with every hit. He had no name, only numbers, and the numbers came with warnings, broken gates, broken trust, a past nobody wanted to explain. Leave him, a trader muttered. He'll cost you more than he's worth. The crowd believed him because fear was cheap and easy to sell. Sam Mackenzie stood back, arms crossed, jaw tight. He had saved problem animals before, but this one felt different. Look at his coat, someone said. Look at those scars. Sam stared and saw more than rage. He saw a story written in marks and silence. The auctioneer called bids like a man throwing rope in the wind. No one caught it. When the price fell to a number that felt like an insult, 100, Sam raised his hand without looking at anyone else. Sold, the hammer fell. A few men chuckled. He bought trouble, one said. He bought bad luck, said another. Up close, the bull slammed the rails and the rails fought back with a hollow ring. Sam didn't flinch, but he kept space. I don't know who hurt you, he said under his breath, but I'm not that person. The bull's chest heaved. He didn't blink. He didn't blink for a long time. Dr. Chin, the vet, walked over with a small file and a tired face. Healthy body, she said. Sick heart. He wasn't handled, he was pushed. Sam nodded once. We'll see. The trailer door groaned. Chains sang. Men formed a loose circle that wasn't really a team. Don't corner him, Sam warned. Give him a way out. Let him choose the ramp. The bull looked at the ramp like it was a trap shaped like a road. He threw his head, tested the air, tested the gap between men and fear, then stepped forward once, twice, slow but sure. A straw bale fell and burst. Someone swore. The bull froze. Sam didn't move. Easy, he said, voice low. If you want out, you'll get out with me. The gate clanged shut. Dust rose and hung there. The whole yard held its breath. And somewhere beyond the fence line, the day shifted course, as if it already knew that this decision would meet a child who hadn't yet realized she was lost. The road from the auction to Sam's ranch stretched long and dry, lined with wire fences and patches of stubborn grass that refused to die in the heat. Inside the trailer, the bull pressed his weight against steel, rattling the frame every time the tires hit a bump. Sam drove in silence, his wife Martha beside him, arms folded tight across her chest. You know this isn't like the others, she said, her eyes fixed on the horizon. This one looks like he's waiting for the first chance to kill someone. Sam didn't argue, but his hands tightened on the wheel. Maybe he's just waiting for the first chance not to, he answered. When they arrived, ranch hands gathered, whispering in low voices. Some crossed themselves. Some shook their heads. Why bring him here, boss? Carlos asked, pulling off his hat. We already got enough trouble with the fences. Sam's voice was calm but firm. Because if we don't, he ends up in a slaughterhouse. Everyone deserves one chance. The gate dropped. Dust rose. The bull burst out like a storm unleashed, hooves pounding the earth as if he wanted to split it open. He hit the far fence so hard the posts groaned, then spun back, eyes sharp, chest heaving. Men scattered. Destroyer, one muttered. The nickname stuck by the time the sun sank. Nights turned restless after that. Lights glowed in the house as the family listened to the sound of banging metal and angry snorts drifting across the pasture. At breakfast one morning, Sam rubbed his temples. He doesn't settle, he admitted. He doesn't even try. Martha set down her coffee cup with a thud. Insurance called. They heard what he's done. They'll cancel if he's not gone in 30 days. Sam looked at his plate but didn't touch the food. 30 days, he repeated. Then what? Another truck? Another ranch? Another fence? Where does it end? Martha's voice was soft but steady. Maybe some animals can't be saved. Sam didn't reply. He looked out the window toward the pasture, where the bull paced back and forth, black against the morning light, a shadow that refused to leave. Something in Sam's chest twisted. It wasn't just anger in that animal's eyes, it was something deeper, something he didn't have the words for. And somewhere beyond those fences, a girl was already walking into the woods, carrying with her the one thing that Bull had never been given, a gentle voice. The woods behind the Mackenzie ranch were thick with brush, tangled enough to swallow a path whole. That Saturday morning, a girl named Luna followed what she thought was a trail back to her family's campsite. The sun was already high, burning through the branches, and her small backpack felt heavier with every step. She wiped her forehead, whispered, "This way, it has to be this way," but the trail she trusted had turned into circles. Hours passed. Her throat dried. Fear crept in when she realized she no longer recognized the trees around her. By mid-afternoon, Luna stumbled across a break in a wire fence, torn open like a careless scar. She pushed through, not knowing she had stepped into the most dangerous part of the Mackenzie land. Out in the pasture, the bull lifted his head. He had been pacing, ears flicking at flies, eyes still smoldering with distrust. Then he saw her, a small figure moving weakly, not like the men who carried ropes or shouted orders. She staggered under the oak tree at the edge of the pasture and sank down hard, knees pulled to her chest. The bull's muscles coiled, ready to charge. His hooves crushed grass as he took a step forward. Then he stopped. Something in her posture was different. No challenge, no whip in hand, no anger. Just exhaustion. Just fear. He stood still, watching. Luna pressed her forehead to her knees and whispered, "I just want to go home." Her voice cracked, carrying across the silent field. The bull's ears twitched. No human had ever spoken near him without force. The sound felt unfamiliar. She lifted her head, and for the first time noticed the dark shape only yards away. Her breath caught, but her voice didn't rise in panic. Instead she said softly, "Oh, you're huge. I'm sorry I came here. I didn't mean to bother you." The bull blinked. He stayed where he was, chest rising like a slow drum. "You look sad," Luna added, her words trembling but kind. "I bet no one calls you by your name. Do you even have one?" She studied his black coat, the way he seemed to melt with the shadows under the tree. "I think I'll call you Shadow," she said. The name floated between them, light but firm. And in that quiet moment, something shifted in the air. The bull didn't charge. He lowered his head slightly as if he was considering it. That night, while the ranch slept, Luna curled up under the oak tree, whispering to her backpack like it was a pillow. And Shadow, the bull no one wanted, stood near the fence line watching her, not with rage this time, but with something else he didn't yet understand. Dawn came slow over the ranch, spilling orange light across the fields. The search helicopters circled far away, their blades cutting the morning air, but they hadn't yet reached this corner of the land. Luna stirred under the oak tree, her back aching, her mouth dry. When she opened her eyes, she saw the same dark figure only a short distance away. Shadow was still there. Her heart thumped. He could have walked off during the night. He could have crushed her where she lay. But instead he had stayed. His massive frame stood steady, like a silent guard. "Good morning," she said, her voice scratchy. She gave a nervous laugh. "Did you really watch me all night?" The bull's ears flicked at the sound of her voice. He didn't move closer, but he didn't move away either. That stillness felt like an answer. Luna pushed herself up, brushing dirt from her shorts. "You're not mean," she said softly. "Everyone thinks you are, don't they? But I can see it. You're just tired of people hurting you." Her words floated out over the grass, and for the first time in his life, Shadow didn't hear anger in a human's tone. He stepped forward, slow, deliberate. Luna's breath caught, but she held her ground. She even smiled, nervous but genuine. "You like the name, don't you?" she whispered. "Shadow. It suits you." A sound startled her, truck tires crunching over gravel. Out on the ridge, ranch hand Carlos had come to check the fences. He lifted his binoculars and froze. "No," he muttered, his hand tightening on the glass. "That's not possible." He fumbled for the radio. "Sam, you better get out here right now. That bull is with a girl." Minutes later, Sam and Martha arrived, dust flying behind their truck. They leapt out, eyes wide as they spotted the scene. The most feared animal on their land standing calmly near a thin, exhausted child. Sam whispered, "Holy Lord." He had seen the bull smash gates, chase men into trees, destroy everything in his path. But here he stood different, calm, protective, even gentle. When the bull caught sight of the adults, his body stiffened. His nostrils flared. But instead of charging, he stepped closer to Luna, placing himself between her and the approaching figures. It was a stance no one expected, not aggression but protection. Martha covered her mouth. "He's guarding her," she said in disbelief. Sam couldn't take his eyes off them. "Then maybe we've all been wrong," he murmured. And in that pasture, fear and wonder twisted into something new. The air thickened with tension as Sam and Martha stood frozen at the edge of the pasture. Shadow's massive body blocked Luna from their view, his head lowered, eyes fixed on the newcomers. The bull's muscles twitched like coiled rope, ready to snap if they moved too fast. "Stay calm," Sam whispered, lifting his hand to Martha, urging her not to step forward. His heart pounded, not from fear of the bull, but from the strange sight in front of him. Look at him, he's not threatening her. He's shielding her. Martha's voice shook. Sam, she's just a child. What if he changes his mind? Before Sam could reply, Luna peeked around Shadow's shoulder. Her cheeks were streaked with dirt, her eyes tired but steady. It's okay, she called softly. He's not going to hurt me. Sam's breath caught at the sound of her voice. Sweetheart, we need you to step away slowly, he said carefully. But Luna shook her head. No. Shadow took care of me all night. He stayed with me when I was scared. He's not mean. He's just lonely. The words hung in the air. Shadow's ears flicked, and his body eased slightly as if her defense of him mattered. Dr. Chin, the vet, arrived in her pickup, drawn by Carlos's frantic radio call. She climbed out, eyes narrowing in disbelief. That's impossible, she muttered. This is the same animal that tried to break my arm through steel bars last week. Not with her, Sam replied, pointing toward Luna. Look for yourself. Dr. Chin adjusted her glasses, studying the bull's posture. Her voice dropped to awe. He's not aggressive right now. He's protective. His entire body language is different. The distant whir of helicopter blades grew louder, the search party closing in. Luna's parents were out there somewhere, desperate to find their daughter. But here, inside the fence, another truth had been uncovered, one that nobody could explain. Sam, Dr. Chin said slowly, we can't just separate them. If this bull has finally found trust, tearing them apart might destroy that progress, or worse, push him into rage again. Martha gripped Sam's arm. Are you saying we let her stay near him? I'm saying, Dr. Chin replied, this girl may be the only one keeping him calm. Shadow shifted his weight, the ground trembling beneath his hooves. He kept his place in front of Luna, as if daring anyone to pull her away too quickly. For the first time, Sam wondered if the bull wasn't the danger here. Maybe the danger was underestimating the bond already forming in the dust and silence of that pasture. The helicopters roared closer, blades chopping the sky, and dust rose in swirls around the ranch. Luna squinted up at the noise, clutching the straps of her backpack. Shadow stamped his hooves, his body tense at the unfamiliar thunder above. Sam waved his arms, signaling the search crew to hold back, but the noise only grew heavier. They'll spook him, he muttered under his breath. Dr. Chin shook her head. We need to manage this carefully. He's already showing signs of stress. Shadow's ears pinned back. His body lowered, not toward attack, but in a posture that made it clear he was bracing himself for something. Luna reached up with her small hand, not touching him but close enough for him to sense her presence. It's okay, Shadow, she whispered. They're just looking for me. You don't have to be scared. The bull's breathing slowed. His eyes, still sharp, flicked to her. Somehow, her voice cut through the pounding machines above. Minutes later, a truck screeched to a stop near the pasture. Luna's parents, Maria and Diego, jumped out before anyone could stop them. Luna! Maria screamed, running forward until Sam grabbed her arm. Wait! Sam hissed. If you rush in, he'll see it as a threat. Diego's face went pale as he spotted his daughter standing calmly beside the massive bull. My God, that's the one they called Destroyer, he whispered. He's bigger than I imagined. Maria shook her head in disbelief. And yet he's standing there like a guard dog. Luna's voice carried across the field. Mom? Dad? Don't be afraid. He's not bad. He kept me safe. Maria's eyes filled with tears. Safe? That animal? She turned to Dr. Chin, almost pleading. How is this even possible? Dr. Chin spoke carefully. I've studied animals for years and I've never seen anything like it. This bull, it's as if her kindness triggered something no one else could reach. Shadow shifted again, placing himself squarely between Luna and the adults. It was protective, almost possessive. Maria took a step forward, but Luna shook her head. Please don't yell. He thinks I belong with him now. If you scare him, he'll think you're trying to take me away. The silence that followed was heavier than the helicopter noise. Everyone could see it, the way Shadow's massive frame curved toward Luna, the way he lowered his head as if waiting for her next word. Sam whispered to Martha, this isn't an accident. That girl, she's the key to him. And in that moment, the question no one dared to ask pressed down on them all. What would happen if they tried to separate them? The sun climbed higher, cutting through the morning haze, but no one moved. The bull's shadow stretched long across the dirt, his bulk towering over the thin figure of Luna. She stood steady, almost fearless, her small hand brushing the air near his muzzle as if speaking a language no one else understood. Maria's voice trembled. "Luna, sweetheart, please step away from him. Just walk to us slowly." But Luna shook her head. "He won't let me. He thinks he has to protect me. If I move too fast, he'll think you're trying to take me." Her tone was calm, almost soothing, not to her parents but to the beast beside her. Dr. Chen leaned closer to Sam and whispered, "Do you see it? His breathing, his stance. This is not aggression, it's attachment. The worst thing we could do right now is force separation." Diego's jaw tightened. "Are you telling me my daughter has to stay in a pasture with a bull that nearly killed 3 men? "I'm telling you," Dr. Chen answered, "your daughter may be the only one keeping him gentle. Without her, he reverts." Shadow stamped the earth, eyes flicking from the anxious parents to Luna. His chest rose and fell like a drumbeat. The fence rattled as Carlos climbed up for a better look, shaking his head in disbelief. "I swear he looks proud of her," he muttered. Sam cleared his throat, calling across the field. "Luna, can you talk to him? Can you bring him closer to us, slowly?" Luna looked at Shadow, then back at Sam. "I'll try." She turned her body just slightly, pointing toward the fence. "Shadow, let's walk, okay? Just me and you. They won't hurt you." The bull shifted, hesitated, then lowered his massive head and took a step beside her. Each hoof struck the earth with weight, but he followed her lead. The adults held their breath as the pair moved slowly across the pasture. When they reached the halfway point, Shadow stopped, lowering his head directly in front of Luna as if asking her permission. She stroked the air again and whispered, "It's all right, boy. I'm not leaving you." Tears slid down Maria's face. "She talks to him like he's a child," she whispered. Dr. Chen's eyes stayed locked on the bull. "No," she said softly. "She talks to him like he's a soul." And in that fragile moment, the world's most dangerous animal walked step for step beside the girl who had given him a name. The pasture fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the low hum of the helicopter pulling back at Sam's urgent wave. Dust settled, but the tension did not. Shadow halted again, his great chest rising as he stood squarely in front of Luna. His head lowered, horns angled, not in threat but like a shield. Every adult watching felt the weight of that choice. Maria wiped her tears and whispered to Diego, "He won't let her go. He thinks she belongs to him now." Diego clenched his fists, torn between fear and awe. "Or maybe," he muttered, "he thinks he belongs to her." Dr. Chin stepped closer to the fence, speaking in a steady, measured tone. "Sam, we need to face reality. If we drag her away, he'll fight. If we leave them, he'll guard her. The safest path is patience. Let him see we're not here to harm." Sam's eyes stayed locked on Luna. "Patience," he echoed, though the word sat heavy in his mouth. Meanwhile, Luna knelt in the grass, her backpack still strapped to her shoulders. She tilted her face toward the bull. "Shadow, it's okay. These are my parents. They're not going to hurt you." The bull's ears twitched. He stayed planted, unmoving. His breath rumbled from his chest like distant thunder. "Do you trust me?" Luna asked softly. "You stayed with me last night. You didn't let anything hurt me. I trust you too." The words reached him differently than the shouts and prods of men. Slowly, painfully, Shadow raised his head and let out a low, guttural sound, not rage but something close to surrender. The ranch hands whispered among themselves. "Never seen him like that." Carlos muttered, "That girl's got the devil's bull eating from her hand." But Sam shook his head. "Not devil. Something else. Something we never gave him." Dr. Chin nodded. "Respect." In the distance, Maria took a trembling step forward, only to see Shadow stiffen again. Luna quickly touched the air between them and whispered, "No, Shadow. It's okay. Please don't be afraid." The bull eased. His body, which once carried nothing but fury, now listened to the voice of a child. The adults finally understood. This wasn't just a chance encounter. It was a bond forming in real time, rewriting the story of an animal everyone had given up on. And with every step forward, the question deepened. What would they risk to protect it? The sun pressed down hotter by the hour, but no one dared to leave. Shadow stood rooted near Luna, his hulking frame casting a dark shade over her as if she belonged inside his circle. Every time someone shifted at the fence line, he flicked his ears and edged closer to the girl, reminding them where his loyalty lay. Maria's face was wet with tears. "She's only 12, Diego. She doesn't understand the danger." But Luna's voice carried, calm and steady. "He's not danger. Not to me. You don't see him the way I do." She ran her hand lightly along the air near his cheek, never forcing contact, only offering. He remembers how people hurt him. But when I spoke gently, he listened. He stayed. He didn't leave me all night. Dr. Chin scribbled notes, her eyes sharp with wonder. This is not simple calmness, she explained. It's reconditioning. Her presence rewired his reaction. What took years of damage, her kindness broke in a single night. Sam frowned. So what happens now? Insurance already threatened us. If we keep him, we lose coverage. If we send him away, his voice trailed off. They all knew what away meant. Slaughterhouse, Carlos muttered under his breath. The word hung heavy. Luna spun, eyes blazing. No. He saved me. When I cried, he stayed. When I was scared, he stood by me. He deserves more than death just because he scared people who never tried to know him. Diego ran his hand over his face, torn between fear for his daughter and the truth in her words. She's too young to carry this kind of choice, he said softly. But Dr. Chin shook her head. She's not choosing. She's showing us what was already there. We just refuse to see it. Shadow let out a deep huff, lowering his head beside Luna as though echoing her plea. His black coat shimmered under the sunlight, not monstrous now but majestic, like something reborn. Sam's jaw tightened. He had made a living deciding which animals had hope and which didn't. But today a child had proven him wrong. We can't take him from her, Sam said finally. If we do, we destroy them both. And in that fragile moment, everyone realized the choice was no longer about a bull or a lost girl. It was about whether they believed in second chances, or not at all. Evening painted the sky in streaks of red and gold as the debate carried on. The helicopters had pulled away, the search teams redirected, but the pasture remained charged with quiet tension. Shadow stood steady, close enough that Luna could lean against him if she wished, though she never pushed. She only spoke, softly, carefully, as though her voice alone could hold his spirit together. Maria clutched her daughter's name on her lips. Luna, we can't let this continue. He's dangerous. What if tomorrow he changes again? Luna didn't waver. He won't. You don't know him like I do. She turned and pressed her forehead near Shadow's massive shoulder. He was angry because no one cared. But when I called him Shadow, he listened. No one ever gave him a name. Don't you see? He just needed to matter. The bull shifted, lowering his head in a gesture that mirrored her gentleness. Dr. Chen's voice carried low but clear. If we separate them abruptly, I fear regression. His transformation is fragile but real. He has chosen her. If you break that bond, you risk more than anger, you risk destroying his mind completely. Diego shook his head, disbelief wrestling with awe. So our 12-year-old daughter is now the key to a 3,000-pound animal's sanity? Yes, Dr. Chin answered without hesitation. Sam exhaled, glancing at Martha. Maybe that's what makes it extraordinary. At that moment, headlights appeared on the dirt road. Another truck pulled in and a tall man with a weathered face stepped out, carrying a notebook. Jonathan Hayes, he introduced himself briskly. Animal behaviorist. I heard you had a situation. Within minutes he stood at the fence, eyes narrowing as he studied the scene. He watched Luna's calm body language, Shadow's posture, the rhythm of their breaths. Finally he closed his notebook. This isn't coincidence, he declared. What you're witnessing is positive reconditioning. Trauma replaced by trust, because the right catalyst appeared. The child represents safety and acceptance. That's why he guards her. Maria's voice cracked. But what happens if we separate them? Hayes didn't hesitate. Catastrophic regression. Maybe worse. If you want him to live, you keep them connected. You manage it carefully, but you don't break it. Silence fell heavy across the group. Luna stroked the air near Shadow's face again and whispered, See? They understand now. You're not bad. You just needed someone to believe in you. And as the sun dipped behind the horizon, it became clear. This was no longer about control. It was about faith, in a bond that defied every rule they thought they knew. Night came down quiet, the kind of silence that pressed heavy on every chest. The family gathered inside the ranch house while Shadow remained outside in the far pasture, never straying far from the oak tree where Luna had first collapsed. Through the kitchen window, Sam watched him pacing slow circles, always pausing to glance toward the house as if making sure the girl he guarded was still near. Maria set down her cup of tea with shaking hands. We can't live like this, Diego. Every day knowing our daughter is bound to that animal? What if something snaps in him? Diego rubbed his temples. And what if it already snapped back the other way? You saw it too. He isn't the same with her. Sam spoke firmly. I can put new fencing in, double reinforced. We'll keep protocols, supervision, controlled time together. But I won't send him off to die, not after what we've seen. Dr. Hayes nodded. It will take structure. Scheduled interaction, trained oversight, documented progress. But I assure you what happened here can teach us more about trauma recovery than 100 research studies. If we allow this bond to grow, we may rewrite how we treat every animal we once called lost. Maria's eyes filled. You're all speaking like scientists. I'm speaking like a mother. I want her safe. Luna, sitting at the table, lifted her head. Mom, I am safe. He doesn't see me as small or weak, he sees me as his person. If you take me away from him, you're not just hurting him. You're hurting me too. Her words landed heavy, wiser than her age should have allowed. Martha reached across the table, placing her hand on Maria's. I was afraid too. But maybe sometimes our children show us courage we've forgotten. Outside, Shadow let out a deep, low sound that carried across the fields. Luna stood, walked to the door and stepped into the night. Every adult stiffened, but no one stopped her. She crossed the yard barefoot, the grass cool under her toes until she reached the fence. Shadow lowered his head, pressing his muzzle gently through the rails toward her. Luna placed her hand on his scarred skin at last. There, she whispered. You're not alone anymore. And in that still moment, under the starlit Texas sky, the bull who had been called Destroyer leaned into the touch of the only person who had ever spoken to him like he mattered. 6 months later, the Mackenzie Ranch no longer looked like the place that had once carried fear in every corner. Fences had been reinforced, pastures widened, and a quiet stream of visitors now came from nearby towns just to glimpse what had become the heart of the land. A bull once marked for death and the girl who had given him a name. Shadow had grown heavier, stronger, yet softer. He followed Luna across the pasture like a dark shadow stitched to her steps, lowering his head when she laughed, standing guard when strangers drew too near. Ranch hands, who once refused to go within 50 yards of him, now stood at the edges in wonder, whispering, "It's like watching a different creature." Insurance, once ready to cut the ranch off, reversed their stance. They sent inspectors, who left shaking their heads in disbelief but wrote reports that declared Shadow no longer a liability. Schools sent children on trips to watch Luna and Shadow together, teachers pointing to them as proof that gentleness could tame storms. Dr. Hayes wrote articles. Dr. Chin spoke at conferences. But Luna didn't care about journals or headlines. She only cared that Shadow no longer paced his fences at night. She only cared that when she whispered his name, his eyes softened instead of burned. One afternoon, as she brushed her hand over his dark coat, a group of visitors asked, "Weren't you ever afraid of him?" Luna smiled, shaking her head. Angry isn't the same as bad. People hurt him and he forgot how to trust. But when you treat someone like they matter, even the angriest soul remembers how to be kind. Her parents, once gripped by fear, stood nearby with tears in their eyes, no longer doubting. Sam and Martha looked across their land and realized it had changed forever. Not because of fences or money, but because one child had refused to see a monster where everyone else did. And Shadow, the bull no one wanted, had become a living symbol that even the deepest scars could heal when touched with patience, respect, and love. Moral lesson asterisk. This story reminds us that no soul, animal or human, is beyond saving. Anger often hides pain, and fear often hides the need for trust. When we choose compassion over judgment, we don't just change others, we change ourselves.